at Busch Stadium in downtown St. Louis as we get you set for baseball tonight. It's game number 2 in interleague play between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Detroit Tigers as St. Louis looks to make it 2 wins in a row. This is the place to be, the Champions Club. Inside Busch Stadium, a hot night, and we're inside the air-conditioned, sold-out Busch Stadium. That's Al Robosky, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Fred Bird here, and over 300 fans. This is the place to be, isn't it, tonight?
Well, it really is. When the temperature's 96 outside, being air-conditioned, that is the way to go. I wish they would have had this when I played.
Yeah, this is a great setting for baseball. We know the fans are excited about this. Here, game 2 of interleague play between the Cardinals and the Detroit Tigers. So let's talk a little bit about baseball here tonight and the pitching matchup. Edwin Jackson going for the Tigers, and the Cardinals have Todd Wellemeyer, the hard-throwing right-hander.
Well, Edwin Jackson, a young man, his first year in Detroit, but he came over from last year from Tampa Bay, won 14 games with them. We saw him when he was with the Dodgers when he was only 20 years of age. But this kid is coming right into his own. He's an excellent pitcher on the road, and for a young pitcher, he has excellent control.
Now with the Champions Club, what you get? You've got over 40 flat-screen TVs. You get the nice climate control. It's nice and cool right now. Actually, we're going to be outside for the game. Sorry, I'll tell you about that.
I'm going to be in here with you guys.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they like that. You get the upscale buffet. You got the bar that's open until that final out is recorded. This is the place to be, and as far as Busch Stadium is concerned.
Okay, so far I heard that you're going to be outside. I'm going to be inside with the fans. I'm going to be at the buffet, and I'm going to be at that place where they serve libations.
Yes.
Okay, let's go, people.
Al's in. Al is in. Follow him out of here. It's the Champions Club. We'll be here all night. It's baseball. It's the Cardinals and Detroit Tigers coming up next on Fox Sports Midwest. The Champions Club is sold out tonight here at Busch Stadium. We're going to have some fun this evening. Game 2 between the Cardinals and the Detroit Tigers. Over 40,000 expected for Game 2 of this set. Home runs last night, back-to-back for the Cardinals, first time this year. Albert Pujols with his 23rd home run of the season. Albert will check into the ballgame tonight with 23 home runs and 58 driven in. Right after that, it was Chris Duncan. He would go deep. Duncan with his 5th of the season and his 29th RBI. Well, in tonight's game, we're participating in the Home Run Challenge. Every home run in this game raises $16,000 for prostate cancer research. You can make a pledge by calling 800-798-CURE, 800-798-2873. Back with more from the Champions Club in just a moment. Should be a good one tonight. Todd Wellemeyer gets the start for St. Louis. Edwin Jackson for the Tigers. Back with more in just a moment. Last night, the Cardinals were hoping to get off to a good start in the first of 3 with Detroit. Adam Wainwright did his part on the mound. The Cardinals' bats took care of the rest. A base hit for Molina. 2 runs will score. Thurston, base hit. 4-0 Cardinals. Line into right center field. That will get down. And Ryan clears them all. Up the middle, base hit. 5-0 Cardinals. RBI number 19 for Skip Schumacher. Pujols drills one again. How about Big Mac land? How about back-to-back? To the track, to the wall, and it's gone. Having some fun tonight here at Busch Stadium. Tonight, will the fun continue at Busch? Will the Cardinals win back-to-back home games for the first time this month? Find out when we return to the Champions Club on your home of St. Louis Cardinals baseball, Fox Sports Midwest.
Welcome back to Busch Stadium. Cardinals and the Detroit Tigers. Game 2 of a 3-game set here at Busch Stadium. Well, welcome to the Champions Club as well. In fact, you can check out my ring collection here if you'd like. These are my actual rings. Not really, but I am very excited to be here at the Champions Club. It's a great place to watch Cardinal baseball. The folks here, we're intermingling with them and just having a great time talking about our favorite team. And of course, we've got a very competitive game coming up with the Detroit Tigers and Jim Leyland's bunch. But we're going to have a blast here at the Champions Club. It is an awesome place to be and to connect with one another and enjoy our favorite team and eat some food and also get a chance to meet Dan and Al, who I understand are getting in position for tonight's game.
Well, that's right, Rick. We're just about set to go. As we get set, we move from the air condition now to the heat outside. But looking forward to this one. The Tigers and the Cardinals coming up live from the Champions Club next on Fox Sports Midwest. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser Select, full flavor, 99 calories, the exception to the rule. By Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. By Auto Tire, for the lowest prices in town, we shop the competitors so you don't have to. And by Chevy, see your Mid-America Chevy dealers or shop and compare at stlchevy.com. It's a gorgeous night here for baseball. We're just outside the Champions Club in our perch, and it's a little warm, by the way. Inside, it's nice and cool. And I noticed you just showed up. Where have you been? With Garcia over there, or what?
I was at the libation station.
And I don't blame you.
And I was meeting all of your friends.
They'd
and all
be there.
Your numerous fans.
They'd be there.
Yes, I was hydrating.
What do you think of our new vantage point? I like it. You don't like it?
30 years ago, I could see a little better.
Just do it off the monitor there, Al. Just look at your monitor.
Thank you.
And that's all you need to look at, and we can describe the game off of that. This is our first pitch of the game presented by Domino's, and Curtis Granderson will lead it off. And the first pitch is a strike at the knees from Todd Wellemeyer, who was up and down in his last start against the Florida Marlins. That was a day game against Florida.
But you know, the problems he has is with these left-handed batters, batting .338 against Todd, and he's struggled here at home. So he's got to reverse that trend, got to get that good slider in on the hands of the lefties, change up away.
And that's pulled foul right past Andy Van Slyke.
Pitch aggressively, stay ahead in the count, and change his fortune.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Granderson, who was in the middle of the lineup last night, hitting .256. How about the home runs? 14 for the leadoff man, and he's driven in 37 this year. Here's a 1-2 pitch. Spoiled and hit out of play. We're expecting a very big crowd here tonight, over 40,000, and once again tomorrow. And like we have said time and again, the place to be this summer, the Champions Club, and glad you're with us from the Champions Club here tonight. 1-2 pitch, 2-2. Todd Wellemeyer talked about his lack of velocity with Jim Hayes before the game, and he said right now he feels it might be just kind of a flow thing out there on the mound, mechanical a little bit for him. He was a guy that would throw 95, 96. You'd have no problem with it, and now you're seeing him throw around that 91, 92 mark.
Well, remember when he first came to the ball club, he was just really classified as a thrower. He could throw the ball at a high velocity, but he had no command. And Dave Duncan, by design, got him to, you know, throw less speed and sacrifice speed for better command. And it's worked. But I think right now he's out there always thinking about his motion and his mechanics instead of just letting that muscle memory take over. Do that in the bullpen sessions. Get on the mound and just throw strikes.
And a leadoff walk by Granderson. That's how we start the game. It's always been a concern, too, with Todd Wellemeyer. You don't really necessarily worry about the pitch count because he's a big, strong guy, and this is the lineup he'll face tonight. But he goes 3-2 a lot. Here's Placido Polanco hitting .343 now in his last 11 games.
That's more indicative of the type of hitter that Polanco is, and he's had success against Wellemeyer. A little bit of a different hitter in the sense that teams learned they can bust him in a little bit and not always hitting to the opposite field like he did with the Redbirds.
Polanco on the year hitting .260, 1 home run and 24 RBIs. Let's see if Detroit, after being blown out last night, if Jim Leyland wants to be aggressive here. You have the perfect hit and run guy with Polanco. You also have a player at first that could steal a bag in Granderson. And that pitch is a strike.
Kind of showed bunt right there as he kind of checking where Thurston's playing, laying back behind the third base bag. But I think one of the equations is, does Wellemeyer throw enough strikes to put that hit and run on?
And here comes the 0-1 pitch. Granderson is not running, and that's fouled back. So quickly, no balls and 2 strikes. Nobody out. We're just underway here in the first.
I mentioned his last time out for Wellemeyer was in the heat of Miami, that day game. And so he's probably a little more acclimated to this weather here today, the hottest day of the year for us.
And now it's an 0-2 pitch to Placido Polanco. Taken low. One thing about our vantage point over here, when Yadi catches that baseball, you get a pretty good sense of where it is with the hitter. You can see if it's up or down. And we don't get that with our perch up in the booth. It's a little tougher to see up there.
And where we are in our normal position, you can't judge the height of a pitch. You can tell whether it's over the plate or not.
And a 1-2 pitch to Polanco. Reaches for it. It's popped up. Pujols is over, and it's out of play and into the seats. Crowd still arriving here at Busch Stadium.
Interesting to see Oquendo not in the dugout, but actually in the photographer's well, where usually he's right at the end of the dugout there, and now it looks like he's making his way and back to his familiar spot.
Well, maybe he needed a picture from Bill Greenblatt, who's been here for years.
Bill's very good.
1-2 is the count. And Polanco hits it out to right field, backing up to make the catch. Ryan Ludwig, who's back in the starting lineup this evening. And that's the first out. Defense presented by Auto Tire. Duncan, Rasmus, Ludwig in the outfield. Thurston, Green, Schumacher, and Pujols on the infield. Todd Wellemeyer and Yadier Molina. The battery tonight. And the Cardinals defense brought to you by Auto Tire. We've seen with a number of starts with Todd Wellemeyer this season, Jason LaRue has been his catcher, but it's back to Yadi tonight.
Well, you know how Tony hates to have a designated catcher for one pitcher. It just worked out that way, but was very reluctant to say that that was going to be the norm.
Here's Miguel Cabrera homered off of P.J. Walters last night. And that home run was his 12th of the season and his 40th RBI. Outstanding player. Began with Florida, won a World Series title with the Marlins in 2003. And Florida felt they could not keep him. He signed a long-term extension with the Detroit Tigers. And here he is. One ball, one strike. Cabrera has slimmed down this year. I feel he's in very good shape. Remember, big concern with him playing third base was his range. As he was getting a little bit bigger, as you know, he wasn't that 19-year-old kid anymore.
Right, and he is go back to the World Baseball Classic. Some of the scouts started noticing there. It looked like the first time he's worked out in an off season. And you're glad to see that because he is one of the premier players in all of baseball. 5th in the American League with a .325 average. He's had a rough road trip, and this is an 11-game road trip that the Tigers find themselves in the middle of.
Let's see if they want to do some running here on 2-1. No, and the pitch is taken for a ball. 3 balls and a strike. Miguel Cabrera can play first base, third base, and the outfield out of Venezuela. He came along with Dontrell Willis, and Detroit gave up a lot. Andrew Miller, who we saw the other day. Cameron Maybin as well. A couple other minor leaguers. That's a strike. 3-2 last year. 2008, he led the American League with 37 home runs during his first full season with Detroit. And that's even with a very slow start by his standards.
And nobody questions his ability to hit. Sometimes they question his work ethic and That's why you're happy to see him maybe adjusting there and finding that it pays off to work hard.
Figure that Granderson might be running on this pitch on 3-2 with 1 out.
Well, as you said, Granderson has good speed. Tim Leland very much aware of the weapon behind the plate in Yadier Molina.
And there he goes, and the pitch is fouled back.
And the check swing. Yadi, over his career, has thrown out better than 40% of runners. This year it's only 29, but that's a reflection of many times a pitcher not giving him a chance to throw somebody out.
See there, he's had 3 seasons with at least 30 home runs. 06 he had 26, but drove in 114. He's driven in at least 100 every year. First Tiger to lead the American League in home runs since Cecil Fielder did it back in 1991. He had 44 that year. A 3-2 pitch. Granderson running. And a strikeout for Todd Wellemeyer. So a stolen base for Granderson. Got him to chase. And there's 2 outs.
Want your pitch tracker and just see the ball out of the strike zone, but close enough with 2 strikes there. He's trying to protect the plate, but good movement on that pitch for Wellemeyer. Picks up his 2nd out. And it's up to Thames, who has unbelievable power.
Left fielder Marcus Timms. And he's hitting .302 on the season. Ball scoots away from Molina, but staying put Granderson. Hey, you think about the first inning yesterday, really set the tone. Leadoff triple for Detroit. He was left stranded by Adam Wainwright. And then after that, the at-bat of the night was Yadier Molina. But the first inning, both on the mound and at the plate, set the tone for the Cardinals.
Both teams had the bases loaded. Tigers couldn't crash through on Wainwright, but the Cardinals did.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Ooh, inside, almost hit him. 2 balls and no strikes. Wellemeyer now over 20 pitches here in the first inning. He's thrown 21. 2 balls, no strikes on Marcus Timms with Maglio Ordonez on deck. Tony La Russa, by the way, named to the All-Star team. He'll be a coach for Charlie Manuel along with Joe Torre. That's fouled back. 2 balls and a strike.
You know, look at Dave Duncan. You just kind of wonder if what he's thinking about Wellemeyer is sometimes Wellemeyer gets distracted out there. At times it looks like instead of throwing through the catcher, he just throws, you know, to the hitter and really doesn't finish off his pitches.
The 2-1 pitch. 2-2.
There he gave more of a follow through, and he completes the pitch with good action. Slamming the rosin bag down and just like he's not comfortable. And sometimes he gets distracted.
Get out of this inning, regroup. 2 balls, 2 strikes, runner at second base. We showed you that graphic last night. Detroit lately really struggling with runners in scoring position. Pulled foul. He was on that pitch. Pulled it down the third base line. So who will be representing St. Louis, the Midsummer Classic? We know one individual, and that's Tony La Russa.
Interesting that it took so long to decide.
Charlie Manuel, the manager, Tony La Russa, and Joe Torre.
Usually it's courtesy. Well, they'll ask the home team side of the All-Star to be a member of the staff, and Charlie Manuel asked him at least a good month or so ago, but he just accepted for that July 14th assignment. Because, you know, you couldn't blame him if he wanted to go home during the break.
3-2. Thing is about Tony, he's got such great respect for the game, and you and I were in his office the other day and talking about the All-Star game, and he said he was just amazed in his first All-Star game with the workout and the amount of talent that was on the field. You wouldn't anticipate that he would turn down a chance to be part of something very special, which is the All-Star game here in St. Louis.
And he learned a lot from Tom Kelly.
Exactly right.
He was the coach and Kelly was the manager, former Twins skipper.
Swing and a miss and a strikeout. 2 in the inning for Todd Wellemeyer. The Mad Hungarian. Happy fan. The Champions Club. Signed autograph. Bottom of the first here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Inside the Champions Club. And now inside the stadium. Look at this lineup for St. Louis. Schumacher, Rasmus, and Pujols. Duncan last night 3 for 5 with a home run. Ludwig, Molina, Thurston, Wellemeyer, and Tyler Green, who's the shortstop this evening. And the Cardinals will face a hard thrower, Edwin Jackson. Talking with Hal McRae on the field before the game, he said this guy is a good one.
I remember Rick Honeycutt told me about him when he originally signed with the Dodgers back in the 2001, and he just really liked him. They sent him off to Tampa Bay, where he's a 14-game winner last year. He's in first year. He's got a 2.24 ERA, and he doesn't walk many. You know, he's just a guy really coming into his own with very good stuff.
It's a low strike, 2-1. Yeah, Hal was saying that, you know, if you go back to last night, Cardinals were selective in the zone against Verlander and swung at good pitches. And he said, you know, their approach was to be aggressive, but yet don't swing at pitches outside the zone. He said that's where he could really beat you. So they put good swings on pitches that were inside the zone. We saw the at-bat by Molina, and they really grinded out some key at-bats.
Dan, that's easier said than done. You know, and every hitting coach tries to get that, and you try to translate that to the players. They know what they're trying to do. But when you swing at strikes.
And there's a ground ball hit to second, handled easily by Polanco for the first out. Take a look at this defense for Detroit behind Edwin Jackson. Timms is in left, Curtis Granderson in center, Maglio Ordonez in right. Inge, Everett, the former Astro, Polanco and Cabral on the infield, Jackson and Gerald Laird. The battery, and that's a look at the Tigers defense presented by Auto Tire.
3 of the first 4 batters for the Cardinals are left-handed hitters, and Jackson has held left-handers to a 194 average.
Colby Rasmus, some talk now around the ballpark that he could be your Rookie of the Year in the National League. Article written in the Post-Dispatch here locally a couple of days ago.
Well, it's still very early in the season, but it's only natural that he should come up in that topic of conversation, because he is leading all National League rookies in home runs and RBIs.
And I guess there is something to the fact when the weather gets warmer for certain players, they heat up personally, and that's been the track record professionally for Colby Rasmus.
You know, Bob Gibson always used to tell me, everybody would say, oh, Bob Gibson loves hot weather. He said, I hated hot weather, just like every other pitcher, but he was very good in hot weather.
And the 1-2 is pulled, and oh, what a play here. Cabrera to the pitcher, Edwin Jackson. And there's 2 outs. Outstanding play there made by a former third baseman. They say defensively he can really move over at first base.
Well, you talked about a much better body shape, so he probably has more mobility. And he gets over there, and obviously the pitcher covering takes a hit away from Colby Rasmus, and a nice hand for Albert Pujols.
Talked to Albert before the game, and I said, when you hit a ball 450 feet, try to explain to a fan what it feels like. He says, I feel nothing. He said, it's just one of those times when you might hit a base hit, a double, a triple, whatever the case may be. You feel it come off the bat. He said, but with the one like that, the one in which he took the eye out of Big Mac Land the other day in Florida, which was the hardest ball we maybe have ever seen hit, he said, you feel nothing coming off the bat. 0-1 pitch.
I told you a story about that. I used to like Tim McCarver, but I don't like him anymore, because one time Hank Aaron hit a double down the left field line, and Tim McCarver said it was the hardest ball he ever saw hit. It was off of me, so I don't like it.
Well, that's nice, Al.
You're welcome.
and Pujols chops one towards third. Brandon Inge, low throw, and Pujols retired. The Cardinals go in order with 3 groundouts. Ordonez leads it off when we come back. Champions Club here in St. Louis, and there's no score as we move to the bottom or the top of the second. And let's take a look at our keys to the game, brought to you by Toyota. And this season, you see in the month of June, both these teams at 6-9. Detroit, though, leading their division, even with that ERA of 5.22. So here is Maglio Ordonez, and the first pitch is hit in the air. It's popped up to the right side, backing up Albert Pujols, and it'll be Skip Schumacher who takes it for the first out. A gorgeous night here in St. Louis. We'll find out a little bit later if it's sold out. I know it was very close.
Beautiful crowd here tonight.
The start of play. And here is Brandon Inge, who's hitting .264. And that pitch is taken just a little bit low and outside. 1 out and nobody on. Inge is hitting .264 with 15 home runs and 42 RBIs. And that pitch is taken for a strike, 1-1. Gerald Laird is on deck. The 1-1 pitch. Outside, 2-1. Wonder if Molina would just be better off setting up right down the middle of the plate as he hops all over the place. It's swung on and missed. Usually, just give a target and say, here it is.
You know, Dan, that's usually what you do with a lot of young kids. But a guy like Wellemeyer or someone that's been around for so long, you used to like to think they have command.
It's fought off right to Albert Pujols. And there's 2 away. Well, if you're traveling and can't catch the Cardinals TV broadcast, catch all the action on your computer at MLB.tv. Catch over 100 live out-of-market games per week. For complete details, visit STOCardinals.com, where baseball is always on. So 2 outs, and here is Laird. Swung on and missed for strike 1. Now here at the Champions Club, you get the carving station. That's part of it.
Yeah, I think Tim Garcia. Oh, it's not Tim. He put away the knife.
Well, I'm sure he was there.
Oh, 3rd time I saw him over there.
For people that don't know who Tim Garcia is, he works up in the booth with us, and we say work, but half the time he's over there eating. There's Tim Garcia.
Right there. Dan, you didn't get a chance to eat, right?
No.
And I didn't get a chance to eat because we were trying to say hello to our new friends.
Tyler Green makes the play as Thurston let it go to him, the shortstop. The Champions Club, all kinds of food to enjoy. Dan McLaughlin, Al Roboski, and Rick Horton with us. And our Fox Sports Midwest crew from the Champions Club. And here is Chris Duncan. Duncan with a home run last night. He's the left fielder. Here this evening, it'll be Duncan, Ludwig, and Molina. Chris Duncan in that spot that is so important in this lineup, hitting behind Albert Pujols.
I did a pretty good job last night, a pair of singles, and then the first time he went back-to-back. First time the Cardinals have had back-to-back home runs this year.
Yeah, you had to go back to Pujols and Ludwig. They did it last season.
Isn't that strange, though?
You'd figure with Albert already at 23 home runs and multiple different players hitting behind him, you'd figured at one point they might go back-to-back. But that has not been the case so far this year. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Or somebody in that 2-hole hitting in front of Albert.
Good point. Yep. You know that you're going to get pitches to hit hitting in front of Pujols. And here is the 1-1 to Duncan. Up and in. 2 balls and a strike. Hard to believe that Edwin Jackson has bounced around as much as he has with a young power arm.
Well, that's what I remember when Honeycutt was very upset when the Dodgers traded him away. You know, because he was the pitching coach for the Dodgers. At that time, he was in the minor league system and told me about him. Then we got a chance to see him in L.A., but they traded him to Tampa Bay, and he became a 14-game winner last season. He's off to a good start, 6 wins this year, and an excellent ERA.
2-2, the breaking ball, and Duncan held up. That's what Hal McRae said. With the righties, you're going to see a lot of breaking balls, but pitching in. He's not afraid to pitch in.
And as I said, he's dominated against, left-handed pitching. Held them to under a 200 average.
And did he go?
Yep.
Yes, he did. First strikeout for Jackson tonight. So that's 4 up and 4 down, and it brings in Ludwig. I talked to Ludwig before the game, Al, and he feels that he's very, very close. He's hitting .241. He's got 9 home runs, 31 RBIs, but he said, I feel I'm so close in the box that actually my confidence is pretty good right now.
And that's kind of amazing the way he's been in and out of the lineup. It's hard to have that confidence or to try and, regain your batting eye and stroke. He was in a good hitting stance before he went on the disabled list. But since that time, he's struggled.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Held up, a check swing. And it's 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, and nobody on here in the bottom of the second.
I know it's tough for Tony to make a lineup out. He's got 4 very capable outfielders. They could play every day, but it's, to try and find the playing time of those two and who do you sit is a chore. And I, for one, think that Rasmus needs to play every day, what he's doing, and I also think Ludwig does.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Ludwig, a swing and a miss. He strikes out 2 in a row and 2 on the night. Cardinals wrap up their 3-game series with the Tigers tomorrow night right here on Fox Sports Midwest. Coverage starts at 6:30 with Toyota Cardinals Live. Cardinals and Tigers tomorrow will be in high definition once again right here on Fox Sports Midwest. And then we'll head to Kansas City, 3 with the Royals and 4 coming up with the Mets at Citi Field. Cardinals lucky again, at least the scheduled starters over the weekend. They will not face Zach Greinke. So 2 series against the Royals and no Zach Greinke.
Cardinals have been very lucky in many cases where they've missed the ¡1 of their opponent.
Yadier Molina, 2 outs and a 1-0 pitch.
Maybe we need to see everybody's #1 after what they did to Verlander last night.
It was shocking. As well as, he was pitching. The Cardinals really haven't been hitting all that well. But they came out last night, one of their best offensive efforts. Deep left field, has a chance to leave the park. It's a home run. Home run. Yadier Molina, his 5th of the season. 22nd RBI. First hit of the night, over the wall and left. 1-0 St. Louis.
Shot. Molina had the big key at bat in the first inning yesterday after a 9-pitch at bat, fouling off a lot of tough pitches. He got a ball off his shoe tops that he dribbled, or he flared in for a 2-run single.
Thurston trying to bunt his way on, but bunts it foul.
And now Yachty comes out here and gets the Cardinals on the scoreboard with his 5th home run.
So each home run tonight worth $16,000, and that's been raised to support prostate cancer research. To make a donation, you can call 800-798-CURE or go online to prostatecancerfoundation.org. So a solo home run for the Cardinal catcher. 5th of the season.
Notice in spring training, watching Thurston for the first time, how bunting is really a weapon in his arsenal. But I wonder right now, is it an indication how he feels like maybe he's overmatched and that's his best option?
Personally, I like to see him swing the bat. He had another double last night.
Exactly. He's second on the team with doubles. He leads in triples. And it's okay, you know, to show bunt on occasion, but back-to-back bunts.
And that's hit to short. Very good defensively, as we saw with his time in Houston. Adam Everett, but the home run to break off the bat of Molina, 2-out home run, a solo shot, and the Cardinals, after 2, lead it 1-0.
Welcome back inside the Champions Club. The Cardinals lead 1-0. We're in the 3rd inning. Yadier Molina with a home run. This kind lady, Marty, I just paid $5 for me to sign an autograph. It cost me $5. What'd you think of Yadi's home run, Marty?
Awesome, absolutely awesome.
You enjoying the food?
Yes, it was very good.
All right, sweet. Marty's having a good time. I'm having a good time. Dan and Al, how about you?
Oh, we're having a good time here, Rick. By the way, what's the wristband for?
I haven't figured it out yet. I'm just playing along with the team right now.
Everett trying to bunt his way on, and he is out at first. Ricky seemed to be in that climate-controlled area, also known as air conditioning, and he can come on out. And Ricky, if you're ready to come on out and join us, come on.
You want me, Dan?
Come on out.
You guys miss me, don't you?
Absolutely.
Good.
It's nice and warm out here, Ricky.
I'll be right there. I'm on my way.
Ricky kind enough to join our broadcast tonight.
Little will he know, as soon as he shows up, we're both leaving.
Out. We're out of here.
We'll find that air conditioning.
Here's Edwin Jackson. So here is the disadvantage, one of them, for the American League teams to come to the National League Park, because Ricky just made a happy fan there with his autograph on that jersey. But
how much do you have to pay for that one?
That's a jersey. It's a little different.
You know, you never know where those funds may come from.
Might want to remove the hair off the jersey before you sign it.
I think his professors at Virginia may critique that signature a little bit too.
Too scribbly, or
oh yeah,
it's
you know, it's
not
like,
legible.
Yeah.
Here's an 0-2 pitch to Jackson.
So, you know, I just wonder where he's tapping into, which fund he's tapping into to pay off those people for those autographs.
And that's outside, 2-2. So it's 2 balls and 2 strikes on the pitcher, Edwin Jackson, and there's the strikeout. Third strikeout for Todd Wellemeyer. Will come meet Cardinals Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith June 26th. The Cardinals and the Twins. Ozzie will be signing autographs pre-game in the Ford Plaza at Busch Stadium, and you can bid online today for a package that includes, how about this, a guaranteed spot at the front of the autograph line, plus all-inclusive tickets to the game. For details, visit stocardinals.com/auction.
And you don't know how important that is, because there is a minimum, or there is a maximum of signatures that Ozzie, a Hall of Famer, will be signing. So the head of the line is an important spot to be.
And here is the head of their lineup, Curtis Granderson. Ricky Horton has joined us here in the booth. You signed an autograph on a Stan Musial jersey.
I feel bad about it, Al.
That is well hit into deep right field, and this game is tied. How about this? The leadoff man, Curtis Granderson, with 15 home runs.
Nice going, Ricky.
Nice job, Ricky.
Should I go now?
So Granderson is added to the home run total here tonight. Another $16,000 has been raised to support prostate cancer research. To make a donation, you can call 800-798-CURE or go online to prostatecancerfoundation.org. Now, what did you see here? Up and over the middle of the plate, huh?
Yep, up over the middle of the plate. Remember, these left-handers are still having a way with Wellemeyer, as they have hit him almost 340 on the season. And that was his 8th home run allowed to a left-handed batter and only 1 to a right-hander.
And it's 2 balls and no strikes. Ricky, it looked to be up and over the middle of the plate once again.
Well, it didn't really have a lot of life on it either, that pitch from Wellemeyer, and that really what distinguishes probably last year from this year with Todd Wellemeyer. He had a lot more life on his pitches, and certainly searching to get that back, Dan.
And Polanco laces one into left field. Over to get it and cut it off, Duncan. And it's a 2-out base hit for Placido Polanco.
Ricky, I never had the problem of being a cerebral pitcher out there.
You're kidding me, Al.
But
Al, I don't believe that for 1 second, Al. I've known you a long time, and you're as cerebral as they come.
Well, I was just being honest. I know you have the problem with honesty at times.
I respect you, Al. Come on.
But you know, Wellemeyer
sometimes you're sly as a fox.
Well, I mean, sometimes you can go out there and think way too much, and I think that's Wellemeyer's problem.
Well, and that's even beyond cerebral. That's where you get over analytical. I mean, he's a smart guy, no question, but pitching is a art, and pitching is something that you just kind of have to do naturally. And I think we've known guys like that just think too much.
And Dan, I think at times this year you just don't see him having fun when he's out there competing.
Here is Miguel Cabrera. We're talking about this guy, Ricky, being one of the top young players and hitters in baseball. He's already made a great play over at first defensively, but if you make a mistake, he's going to lose it.
Well, we've seen that in the series already. He is one of the great young players, and you think about taking his numbers over a full career. If he stays healthy, if he keeps his body in shape, if he keeps working, he can have an outstanding career.
Fights it off into shallow right base hit, drops in front of Ludwig. Staying put at second base, Polanco. So 3 consecutive hits now with 2 outs. And this is something that Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan talked about, and I think it may be an example of what you're mentioning here. At times, a lapse in concentration. You get 2 outs, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 3 consecutive hits.
And sometimes he gets into a mode that you just look like, instead of fighting your way out of it, or figuring out how to on the fly. You can't have a pitching coach run out there all the time. You've got to understand your own mechanics well enough to where sometimes you just, I don't want to say give up, but it looks like the shoulders slump, and it translates too much to the opposition that I'm there to be beaten.
The word adjustment comes to mind. The guys that are really going well, Al, just adjust quicker, and the guys that don't adjust start to show it on their body language and how they walk around. And the confident guys who are adjusting well, feel good about themselves, make that adjustment quickly.
And they tell a hitter, like, hey, you can come to the batter's box, but you're going right back to the dugout.
Here is
Marcus, around the bases first.
Marcus Thames with runners at first and second.
That's not arrogance, Al. That's just confidence.
Thames, first time up, struck out. I think it's arrogance, Ricky.
You do?
Yeah, I've watched you for many years. What do you say, Al?
You guys are teaming up on me today. I give up 1 run. I get 1 run at the top of the 3rd, and you're all over.
Well, you've been in that air conditioning a little bit too long.
Yeah.
So you guys are jealous. You guys can go out there.
What is the wristband?
The wristband is Cal Eldred told me to wear it. That's as much as I know right now. A home run challenge.
Oh, okay, good.
For prostate cancer, and I'm being a teammate right now.
Good.
And I'm doing what Cal told me.
That is pulled foul. Father's Day, of course, you have the players that wear the blue on Father's Day, and we saw the players on Mother's Day using the pink bats and pink wristbands, support cancer research. That's great what Major League Baseball has done over the years with that.
Just the awareness, keep Dad in the game.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. That's pulled foul again.
Such an easy test.
Well, I mean, Joe Torre, Al.
Yep.
Of course, he went through it, and Dusty Baker.
Well, there's many, many more. Bob Gibson, Red. I mean, you just go right on down the line. Stan had it 20 years ago. I mean, it's extremely treatable. If you live long enough, everyone's going to get prostate cancer.
2 strikes at pitches, taken a little bit low, and it's 2-2 with 2 outs and 2 on.
The disclaimer: you have to live long enough.
I was tracking you, Al.
Yeah, we got you, Al. Hey, when you work with you for 10 years, you just got to kind of fill in the blanks sometimes. Ooh, he just missed.
And you know, I always fill them in, but
I tell you,
sometimes it just takes a little bit.
right.
There's some people over there in the Champions Club that would love you to go fill in some blanks for them. They love Al Hrabosky in the Champions Club tonight. I'm telling you.
That's why we brought you over here, so I can go take a hike.
Well, there are folks from all over the state of Missouri. Have some folks over in the Champions Club from Houston, Missouri, who are here. A whole bunch of people. I think they should be cheering right now.
And so after he gets the first 2, he got Everett and Jackson 8 and 9 in the order. Now we've seen a home run, 2 singles, and a walk.
Change up grip. Circle change, and that's a tough pitch to throw strikes with. It's a feel pitch, and if you don't have that feel.
And it's a problem pitch, Al, if you make a mistake with it.
Oh, yes.
Like a breaking ball that you hang. Just a very hittable pitch.
So it's Ordonez, batting champion a couple of years ago. Real dangerous spot here for Wellemeyer. Ordonez sitting well below his normal average. His career mark was .317 coming into play this year. Slicing down the right field line and out of play. This year, .272 at the start of play tonight. 2 home runs, 21 RBIs. And that does not seem like Maglio Ordonez, the player that we've seen in the past.
And Dan and Ricky, if you just saw that graph, you can understand why Wellemeyer struggles when you saw a .360 average with runners on base. That's where he wanted to drop down about .160.
Finish the inning.
Ordonez towards second. Green there at second base with the force. They strand the bases loaded, but a solo home run. Curtis Granderson having some fun at the Champions Club here tonight.
Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. By Aflac, we've got you under our wing. And by Casino Queen, home of the Lucy Slots. We having a blast here. Dan is now decided to go into the Champions Club. Al is having a conversation.
This gentleman said he's celebrating his 47th wedding anniversary.
How about that?
He didn't bring his wife, though. Oh, you did. Oh, excuse me. You did bring your wife. You did bring your wife.
He's not sure. Selective hearing after 37 years of marriage.
No, 47.
47. Mine's selective
just
as
sign,
well.
Just sign the scorecard and go back to play-by-play.
I would be thrilled to do that. It's Wellemeyer, Green, and Schumacher for the Cardinals batting here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. We're broadcasting live from the Champions Club. We have a heckler out here. That's Al's long-lost buddy.
No, he's celebrating his 47th wedding anniversary.
Well, happy anniversary, sir. Have a good time. Good
Thank you for coming.
Congratulations to your wife as well. All right, back to action here. Tyler Green hits with 1 out. Green batting in the 9th spot for the Cardinals. Has been a pleasant surprise, Al, this year, what he's been able to do with the bat and in the field.
Yeah, he really has. I mean, when he's former #1 draft pick out of Georgia Tech, and everybody knew he could play the game defensively. Starting to show some pop for the bat.
And there's a base hit to left field for Tyler Green. And the Cardinals have a runner here in the bottom of the 3rd in a 1-1 game. Stop by the Westin and enter to win your chance to catch pop flies and win great prizes. For complete details, visit www.westonpopupchallenge.com or call 314-621-2000. Jackson will be forced to work from the stretch here, something he has not done yet tonight. Skip Schumacher hitting from the left side. He bounced out in the first inning. Tyler Green 3 for 3 in stolen bases, gets a little action. The throw gets away. Tyler Green gets tangled up with the first baseman, heads to second. He may be thinking 3, but no, held up there at second as the Tigers come up with the ball quickly.
I think Dave McKay is going to try and make an argument that Cabrera kind of holding the legs there a little bit, kind of right there, and that kept him from, he gets to second, but he otherwise would have gotten over to third.
Well, we have a third man in the booth here.
Yeah, we sure do.
Those are our friends from Houston, Missouri.
It's a big night.
And they're having a good time at the Champions Club. There's the ball bounced on the right side. Green's going to advance to third, but they'll throw out Skip Schumacher for out number 2. He's now bounced out twice. Cardinals with a chance to go ahead here as they hit the bottom of the third inning. 1-1 game. Yadier Molina's home run in the second inning. I only half saw it because I was signing that lady's autograph, Al. But I heard that Yadier Molina hit a home run.
Yes, he did. Nice line drive over between the Ameren and the Bud Light sign, about 3 rows deep.
He'd be a nice guy to get hot, wouldn't
he? He and about 5 or 6 more. You never can have enough bats. And you know what? You know, Ricky, when you get a couple guys going, then everybody else relaxes and they get hot.
Exactly. Colby Rasmus has been pretty steady. There's the 1934 World Series ring from the Cardinals, and it's the year they played the Tigers in the World Series.
Remember what happened with Ducky Medwick?
They had to stop the game, take him out. The commissioner
told him to get off the field. He made a hard slide into third base earlier in the, I don't know if it was that game or in the series. He kind of got under the skin of the fans that series, and
they took him out of the game.
They took him. You know, all the vegetables and fruit were thrown out on the field at Medwick.
At least it was healthy food.
And the game was pretty much already decided. The Cardinals were going to win that game. And just to help you understand that the way that Ducky Medwick played the game, he was Hungarian.
That explains it. Press pins from that 1934 World Series contest between these two clubs.
You never met Ducky, did you?
I never did. Never had the pleasure.
When I got into the Cardinal organization, he was the Cardinals minor league hitting coach.
Is that right?
And I swear, his legs were gone. I mean, he could sit on a milk stool and teach hitting.
Ball jams Rasmus. This may drop, and it does in center field. Base hit for Rasmus. A 2-out base hit. RBI to center field. Drives in Tyler Green, and the Cardinals lead 2-1. Well, he didn't get all of that, Al, but he got enough of it.
Well, sometimes it's better off. You get all of it, and it's a line drive right to the outfielder. And it got jammed just a little bit. Fights it off and has the base hit and RBI. That's his 25th RBI. But I think even at that age, and he had to be in his late 70s, I think he still could have hit.
Albert Pujols with 2 outs. Slider misses high. Pujols, you think about him, Al, and the career he's had, and of course we all like to project what will happen if he plays another 8 years or 10 years, but you'd almost have to say with names like Medwick and Shaney, he's up in that list now already of Cardinal greats, regardless of what he does going forward. Of course, we're hoping for a lot more, but he's put together some great numbers.
As much as we love Joe Ducky Medwick and the last National Leaguer to hit the Triple Crown, and Red, one of our favorites, I mean, you got to put him in the loftier categories. I mean, you got to put him up there with Stan and Williams and DiMaggio, the greats of the great, the way if he continues at this pace, he's setting the tone in bar. No one has done what Albert has done.
with power, with average, with defense, and this year with stolen bases. There's a high one.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only player in Major League history, and and this was back when he was like, I think, the 3rd year. But all 8 years he's been in the big leagues, he's hit over 300, over 30 home runs, over 100 RBIs, and Tony and Albert do not like that chin music.
Blared out a bit at Jackson. And Tony, as you mentioned, never a fan of pitches high and tight. Thinks pitchers should never go there. 2-1 pitch to Albert.
I asked Tony one day, I said, Tony, you were hit in the head before, weren't you? And he goes, yeah, twice.
That's why he
That's
doesn't
why.
like it.
You know, sometimes a ball will get away, but Tony just believes every time a pitcher at this level, if he pitches inside, should have command. You know, if you want to intentionally hit somebody, hit them in the buttocks,
right.
You hit them in the trunk of the body, but nothing above the shoulders.
Well, they have to pitch to Albert here. No first base open. Rasmus the runner at first. 2-2 pitch to Albert.
They're setting up inside as they're trying to go up and in, but you fear for some hitters today because it's so rare that pitchers pitch up and in that a lot of guys don't know the proper way of getting out of the way of the ball up and in.
Line drive foul. Watch out. Don't try to catch that ball. Somebody actually reached up a hand for that, Al. I tell you, if he hit it up here in the Champions Club, I'm not catching that ball.
You know what we'll do?
I'm hiding behind Tim Garcia.
No. I'm going to pick up Tim and I'm just going to stick him in front of you.
As a shield. I like that.
Because that's finally we'll have something that Timmy could do.
This is foul ball territory here at the Champions Club, and it's a great view. Beautiful night for baseball here at Busch Stadium. Looking forward to the All-Star game being here. We'll see this man. Ball popped up out of play behind home plate by Albert.
How about Chase Utley has passed him in votes for the most in the National League, most votes. You know, Albert has a commanding lead over Ryan Howard for first base and Utley leading at second, but right now Utley leads, you know, is the top vote getter in the National League. That's a crime.
Well, you hope that the National League will have a little bit better activity going on in the middle of July than they have in the past and win a game for a change. Watch out. Defensive swing there, a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. I tell you, he's not afraid to pitch in on Albert. I think Albert's getting a little tired of it.
Well, but that's part of the art of pitching. And winners pitch inside. You know, a hitter, and there's a tough pitch up and in. At least Albert gets a piece of it. See him kind of hanging over the plate. You know, we always talk about a hitter loving to get his arms extended. That shows you why, as a pitcher, you try to avoid the arms being extended. Lock them up inside. You take the fluidity out of that swing.
Fans expecting something big here. Willing Albert to go deep. Another fastball high. This one gets away from Jackson. Count now full, and Albert Pujols sitting on 23 homers, 58 RBIs. Tony La Russa a little agitated about the pitches up and in on Albert.
Now, I disagree with Tony because that's part of pitching. And I mean, you're not trying to headhunt. You're not trying to hurt Albert Pujols. You're trying to show respect for a great hitter and trying to get him out up and in.
And I'm with you on that, Al.
And up and in leads to down and away. An off-speed pitch.
This is down and in. He missed his location, and Albert reaches with a 2-out walk. Remind you that baseball's biggest stars go head-to-head for one spectacular night in the summer's biggest event, as Fox brings you every thrilling moment of the 2009 MLB All-Star Game. Coverage begins Tuesday, July 14th, live from St. Louis at 7 p.m. only on Fox.
Rick Knapp, Detroit's pitching coach, out to talk to the young pitcher.
And you talked about the vote leaders, Al, and there's Utley with his 2.2 million fans, and that kind of gives you an indication. You know, every once in a while we have to think the millions of people that love this game of baseball and think to vote for their favorite players. Ibanez is having a great year. He is leading the votes in the outfield, as he should be.
And you see a lot of Philadelphia guys there. You know, certain cities really stock the ballot box, and you can vote up to 25 times.
And that's going to be a fair ball handled by Cabrera, and on to Jackson. Retires Chris Duncan, who swung at the first pitch. 1 run for the Redbirds. They lead 2-1.
It's time to bring you up to speed with the AT&T Rapid Rewind. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered.
Top of the 4th inning, 2-1 Cardinals. Broadcasting from the Champions Club here at Busch Stadium. And first pitch in the top of the 4th is lined to right field by Brandon Inge for a leadoff hit. And Todd Wellemeyer will have to work out of the stretch here, as Wellemeyer's given up 1 run on 4 hits now, as he is looking for his 6th victory. Al is up here signing memorabilia up here in the Champions Club, and let me go ahead and sign this too, Al. Is that is Cher here? Or is this Nancy Sinatra, or who is this? I've never signed a boot before during a telecast, but you know what? First for everything. There you go. Thank you, ma'am. Wellemeyer, first pitch to Gerard Laird, is taken for a strike.
Do you notice what's happening to my right here?
Tim Garcia
is signing the red boot. Oh yes, Ricky signed it.
Way to go, Tim.
I think she was getting a little upset.
Way to devalue her boot, Tim.
Oh, for the guy that just signed Musial.
Good point. Touche, Al. Man, you are getting sharp in your old age.
The only thing correct about that is old.
0-2 the count to Gerald Laird. Ball misses low. Laird, the catcher for the Tigers. And he's got some shoes to fill, thinking about the catcher that he's really replacing in Pudge Rodriguez, who of course is now in the National League. But
and Pudge, I guess with his appearance tonight, will set the all-time mark. Most games caught by catcher all time.
Great defensive catcher, and there's a swing and a miss, and that takes care of Laird. And now Adam Everett, another former Astro, will take his turn. Here's the pitch by Wellemeyer.
Slider, kind of not quite a backup, but but it just really didn't have that great movement on it.
Well, explain a backup slider, Al.
Well, everybody knows that a slider from a right-hander to a right-handed batter is going to hopefully start in the strike zone and then break down away. A backup one actually literally does what it says. Instead of breaking down away, it kind of backs up and kind of even comes in on the right-handed batter a little bit. Usually it's a pitch you don't want to throw, but it usually is an effective pitch.
A lot of times you get away with it. It's like a changeup effectively, and I maintain that Todd Worrell had the best backup slider in the history of the game.
Todd Worrell?
Todd Worrell had a great slider that, now when it was good, and when it was bad, it was good. And Todd, by the way, broke his arm this week.
I was just going to ask you about that. I heard that he broke his wrist or his hand.
He actually broke his arm close to the wrist, and he was working on a church missions project in the city of St. Louis with his family, a family project, and they were doing a home remodeling thing, and they had a minor accident there, and he broke his arm. So I guess he's not Superman at all. There goes the runner, and it catches the ball right on second base by Schumacher, and it's going to be a double play. Very alertly skipped Schumacher, 4 unassisted to Albert Pujols, and that ends the top of the 4th inning as the Tigers pick up a hit, but no runs. They trail St. Louis. On Friday, June 26th, make sure to bring the family to Busch Stadium for Merrimack Caverns Night. All kids 11 and under will receive a coupon good for one admission to Merrimack Caverns Cave Tour and Boat Ride. It might be hot outside, but it's always a cool 60 degrees in the cave, which I think is the temperature in the Champions Club. As that young lady's having a good time, a lot of good food, a lot of people having a good time, yelling, screaming, autographs, you name it, as we're enjoying broadcasting here from the Champions Club.
You got the screaming part down.
I did. Yes, I do. They're having. I wonder if they know the score. Al, would you go ask them if they know the score?
I would bet they have no clue.
I know who that lady is. She's one of my favorites, Al, and yours.
True.
1-2 the count to Ryan Ludwig. Cardinals batting here in the bottom of the 4th inning, and there's a swing and a miss, and Ludwig is retired. And that's the second time that Jackson has taken care of Ryan Ludwig. Yadier Molina hit his 5th home run of the season in the 2nd inning for the Cardinals on this toasty evening here at Busch Stadium. This reminds me, it's not quite the August kind of games we're used to, Al, but it's a little toasty today.
Ricky, when we were down on the field, and even with the AstroTurf, we were dressed for it.
That's a good point.
And we were younger.
Right. You know, watching in our post-game show, as there's some happy fans. That guy's got the wrong. What's he doing in the Champions Club? How'd he get in? Take that man's wristband away.
Well, they were here in '06.
Yeah, they were.
And they can go look at the Cardinals World Championship trophy in the Champions Club and remind them of where they finished.
You're just rubbing it in, aren't you? There it is, Al.
I'm not rubbing it in. 68, they could. They've got the bragging rights.
We can rub in 1934. I don't remember that series personally, but we know who won that. 2-2 the count to Yadier Molina. There's a list of the Cardinals World Series.
With the exception of New York Yankees, the Cardinals have won more pennants and world championships than any other team in baseball.
Molina battling. How about the way Molina battled last night? 9-pitch at bat. As we look at a official program of that 1934 World Series.
What do you think? It cost a nickel?
Probably right.
Maybe a dime for the World Series.
That ball hit hard to left center field, and it's down in front of Granderson, and that'll be a base hit for Yadier Molina, who rounds first, heads back to the bag. And that's hit number 4 for the Cardinals.
Missed the home run. There's a replay of it, just about another 100 feet further and 30 feet higher.
Very little movement with the lower half.
Right. Remember, a couple years ago, he just constantly was changing stance and moving all around. You could see the presence of Albert Pujols and Albert working with his buddy, where everything is so much more quiet. And I still will predict that he's going to be a 15 to 20 home run man when it's all said and done.
I agree. Our Hot Shots Exmo cam giving us a great shot of the swing of Yadier Molina. Joe Thurston hitting from the left side. And our Firestone leaderboard. Jason Bay having a great year in the American League after coming over from Pittsburgh. There's the ball hit the right field, but right at the right fielder Ordonez for the second out. We're going to talk about the 34 series out and mention that during the post-game show we have this little game where we're pitting former Cardinal teams against each other in a little round robin, little statistical game, and we've got some footage of those early series, and it's amazing that people would wear suits and ties and hats to those games. Can you imagine that? Times have changed a bit. The game hasn't changed very much, though.
If you go back into the late 60s, that was the decor for some of the fans.
And we're having so much fun talking about that. Let's segue into a baseball fun fact, Al. First known playing of Take Me Out to the Ball Game in an MLB stadium was the 34 World Series and was led by the Cardinal third baseman, Pepper Martin. I did not know that.
I did not know that, and I'm sure I will not retain it very much longer.
But you know it for now, Al.
Yeah, for this moment, I do know that.
So it classifies as a fun fact.
Oh, absolutely.
Which we like to bring to you, which is exactly what we are having in the Champions Club. Down the left field line at Busch Stadium. Wellemeyer, good swing there, but comes up empty.
You know, I always say that pressure is a word. It's, you know, it's how you define it.
Right.
I guess that's the same way I feel about fun.
Fun's how you define it.
Yeah, the fun fact. You know, whether how much I appreciate them or not.
Sometimes they're fun. Sometimes they're.
And sometimes they're just so funny.
They're never dull to you, though, Al. I mean,
no, they're never dull, and they're always factual.
Thought-provoking. And a swing and a miss, and Wellemeyer is retired. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Jackson, starting to settle down a bit. Top of the 5th in St. Louis, 2-1 Cardinals, each team with 4 hits. Join in the fun of Major League Baseball All-Star Summer. Bring your family to Major League Baseball All-Star Fan Fest, July 10th through the 14th at America's Center. For tickets, go to allstargame.com or call 888-FAN-FEST. Smiley faces, Cardinal fans, enjoying an adult beverage. He can't have one yet. He's got some work to do. Todd Wellemeyer begins his 5th inning of work, giving up just 4 hits, and I would say, Al Rabosky, Todd Wellemeyer has been a bit better than we've seen him of late. And he needs to be, you know, but and you like to see that. You want to see him go out there and compete. Really just had the one problem, and that was in the 3rd inning, and that all came with 2 outs. Finish hitters and finish innings. Starts off the 5th inning well with a strike. And now a loop to right that's handled by Ryan Ludwig, and that'll retire Edwin Jackson. Joni and Tony are here in the Champions Club. Had a couple of conversations with them. Wonderful Cardinal fans. And he told me if I got a chance to say it, he thinks Skip Schumacher should choke up. That's what he told me to say. He's a hitting coach. Tony's a hitting coach up here in the Champions Club. On a serious note, sometimes when you do have the opportunity to sit in the stands with the fans, yeah, it's a different perspective for all the advice they have for all the players. It's a little easier up here, Al. And how many times do you get blamed for something? Yeah. You and Dan were blaming me because we got a run when I came and joined you. Well, we gave up a run. It's because it was Granderson was the first hitter, and he hit a home run. Like you talk about it, this one will stay in the park. No, it won't. Curtis Granderson with his 2nd home run. Nice going, Rick. Here tonight. And the score is 2-2. And this is not exactly good news, but I guess the silver lining is that with that home run hit by Curtis Granderson, another $16,000 has been raised to support prostate cancer research. To make a donation, you can call 800-798-CURE or go online to www.prostatecancerfoundation.org. As he showed some power the other way, Al. I did not think that ball was getting out of here. I didn't either, and I was watching, you know, Kobe Rasmus, and I think Kobe was shocked as he pulled up. And from our vantage point, we can't really see the height of the ball going out there. But, you know, the way he pulled up, I thought maybe he felt he was going to play the carom. As Kobe went back on the ball and then, you know, pulled up looking for the carom. Former Cardinal Placido Polanco singled in the 3rd and flew out in his first trip. Polanco at 262. He's had some good years with the Tigers, had some good years with the Phillies, had some good years with the Cardinals. Really hated to see him go out. There's a breaking ball hit into center field, no, to right field from our vantage point. A little different over here, Al, but it sure is. But you're right about Polanco. I mean, Polanco just really learned to play this game through the Cardinal farm system, and just as a, you know, a credit
Wherever he's been that consummate professional and a great team player.
And good with the glove. One of those utility type guys with the Cardinals. He would play third base, play shortstop, play second base. Ball hard hit. Nice play by Green, who comes up with it and throws out Miguel Cabrera. A home run this inning by Curtis Granderson has tied this game at 2. Nice play by Tyler Green. Go to the bottom of the 5th. Schnucks, this date in history, June 17th, 1962, features one of our favorites, Lou Brock. He becomes the second player to hit a home run into the center field bleachers at the Polo Grounds. He had a little pop, and he likes to talk about the pop that he had, Al.
Well, that was one of the longest home runs ever hit at the Polo Grounds, over 500 feet. And it was quite a blast. And of course, you know, we need to talk about the legend's birthday. This is the birthday of Terry Rush.
Oh, how about that? I did not know that.
Well, it's tomorrow. It's Lou Brock and Terry Rush.
Oh, that's
tomorrow.
right. Oh, yeah.
But that it reminded me.
And we know how important Terry Rush is to our Legends camp. He's not exactly Lou Brock, but he comes to the Cardinals Legends camp every January, and he's a pastor in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we do wish him a happy birthday. But of course, our good friend Tom Mee's getting a little older too. Works in our truck. And Jim Jackson, who does games on the radio side with Mike Shannon and John Rooney. As Tyler Green bounces out, 1 out. Underway here in the 5th inning, 2-2 ballgame.
Been the subject of many of Terry Rush's sermons. And you know, I've met Terry's been like 25. Been to all the Cardinal
camps, right?
All the Cardinal Legends camps, but then he's, you know, when I first met him was at a Randy Hundley combined Cubs Cardinal camp. And what a great guy he is.
And we love him, and he still can't hit, Al. But speaking of Brock, back to Lou. I said that he likes to talk about his home run prowess. Now, Lou is about as humble a guy as you're ever going to see. But all you need to do is walk up to him and say, hey, I hear you didn't have any power as a player. And something goes off in his head, doesn't it?
And there were times when Lou would hit a home run and we'd all cringe and say, oh, no. Because that wasn't, you know, his game. You know, I mean, obviously the great Hall of Famer, and everyone, you know, knows about his stolen base, but people forget about more than 3,000 hits. And Lou just, you know, has taught me so much off the field, and just what a class act.
And there's a base hit the other way. Skip Schumacher goes with it to left field. A 1-out single for the Cardinals. That's his first hit of the night.
But you know how sometimes a guy that's supposed to hit down on the ball and get base hits and then steal bags, they hit a home run and then they start getting home run happy and they make a bunch of outs.
And you and Dan were talking about exactly this with our hitter Colby Rasmus as we look at the location of that fastball that Schumacher took the other way. You were mentioning that you have concerns with Rasmus when he goes deep, and of course
right.
you appreciate it, but you don't want him to think he's a home run hitter.
Right, and that was the whole thing about spring training. Tony had to set him aside and said, look, don't try and compete with Duncan and Ludwig and Ankiel for home runs.
There's a fly ball to deep right field, back to the track, off the top of the wall. Schumacher rounds third. Oquendo sending him home. They have trouble with it in right field. Rasmus rounds third and puts on the brakes. I thought for a minute he may go all the way. A triple for Colby Rasmus drives in Skip Schumacher, and the Cardinals lead 3-2.
It's right on cue. Don't think you're a home run hitter.
Think you're a triple hitter.
Just think you're a triples hitter. Drive in that runner. But the thing is Colby's still such a young pup. You know, with age, he will get more and more power. But be the line drive hitter, and he misses a home run by, you know, 6 inches at the most. As right towards the top of the wall, he's got such great speed, even when he's not running hard, thinking he had a home run, he can still get on over to third base. And this is what you get when you hit a triple. They intentionally pass Albert.
Fans don't like it here at Busch Stadium. They want to see Albert hit, but I think Jim Leyland showing why he's one of the smartest guys in the game of baseball. Jim Leyland is one of Tony's favorite guys, Al. But I really appreciate the baseball knowledge of that man. I heard him give a talk to Cardinal minor leaguers when he was a special assignment scout for Tony La Russa before taking the Tigers job. And he was over with a bunch of Cardinal minor leaguers. He gave a 10-minute talk about what it means to be a big leaguer that I wish I had a tape of. It was outstanding.
And here's a guy that never got there as a player, never got to the big leagues, but what a great manager at this level.
No question about that. Saturday afternoons were made for baseball. And this week, Fox brings you the national game of the week as Albert Pujols leads your Cardinals into Kansas City to take on Jose Guillen and the Royals in the latest meeting between the I-70 rivals. Fox Saturday Baseball this week at 3 p.m. on Fox.
Jim Leyland was on Tony's, White Sox staff. He was his third base coach. And Tony, to this day, if you sit there and say anything about Jim Leyland, he said, "Look, I'll go coach third base. He's a better manager than I am."
He knows the game, doesn't he? Well, you got to know your role. You got to know what you're good at.
Well, Tony's pretty good at managing.
I would say he is. And of course, Leyland, we have to question his ability to pick coaches because he picked my former roommate as his first base coach, Andy Van Slyke. So I don't know what we can say about Leyland's choice there, but he does know the game. And I do love my former roommate, Andy Van Slyke. And he loves working under Jim Leyland. Played for him, had some great years for him with the Pirates in the mid-90s, early 90s, and now coaching for him as Duncan swings through a fastball.
Does Andy understand he's no longer a player?
I tell you what, I think he understands that, but he sure is in better shape than anybody in that clubhouse.
Is he in better shape now than when he played?
Yes. Stronger?
It's definitely that.
And wiser. Foul back. 1-2 the count on Chris Duncan. It's with one out. Runners at first and third. Rasmus with a one-out triple.
I remember when Milt May was Jim Leyland's hitting coach with the Pirates, and then when he went over to Colorado, they already had, I don't know if it was Don Baylor or it might have even been Clint Hurdle, and they had to retain him. So
they're going to try to throw out Rasmus at the plate, and he's out. As that ball hit on the right side, and Rasmus was going on contact to force a play. And a good throw from Miguel Cabrera gets him at the plate.
Let's see, going on contact, and he's not running that hard. Tries to slide around it, but usually that ball hit to the right side, you're going to come around. He tries to slide wide and reach the plate.
I'm not sure he's out.
I think he got to the plate ahead of the tag, but the throw beat him. And remember, Cabrera, former third baseman, probably has a little stronger throwing arm than most first basemen, makes that play. But then all of a sudden, he had a former hitting coach, so he made Milt May his pitching coach. Milt was a former catcher.
And the Cardinals have a pitching coach that was a former catcher, and he's done a pretty good job at that.
Well, and that used to be the norm. I mean,
Mike Rourke was the Cardinal pitching coach in the 80s, an outstanding coach under Whitey Herzog.
But most pitching coaches were catchers, or at least 50-50 of them. And there was a time, Ricky, that you would never, ever hire a left-handed pitcher to be a pitching coach.
I understand. I remember I heard you say that recently. I was surprised, but I tried to think of somebody who was one, and I couldn't think of any other than
Peronoski.
Other than guys at Peronoski. Darryl Knowles was a pitching coach for a while, taught me a lot. Freddie Norman was a pitching coach for the Cincinnati Reds for a while, and Don Gullett.
Right.
Ball grounded past the secret weapon. Two and one the count on Ryan Ludwig. Ludwig has struck out twice.
Got to get him going.
No question about it. Sitting on 9 homers, 31 RBIs. How about 10? And let's see, 31, 2, 3, and 34.
I think right now a Quail, a Flair, anything. But he told Dan before the game that, he feels like he's getting very, very close. He feels good about his swing.
Is there any difference between a Quail, a Flair, and a Bloop? Or are they synonyms, Al?
They're Texas Lakers. They're all synonyms.
Okay.
And they all are hated by a pitcher.
Oh, you better believe it. We'll take one here. 2-2 pitch to Ludwig. Hit inside. 3-2, and we're got a search party out for Dan McLaughlin. We don't want anybody to be concerned about him. We think he's just having fun here at the Champions Club.
Well, I think he's in his mother's presence. So his mom's here at the ballpark with him. And
so we can assume he's on best behavior.
Oh, you may want to assume that, but
payoff pitch to Ludwig. Runners going, and it's on the inside corner, and Ludwig has the hat trick as he's called out by home plate umpire Tony Randazzo. We're through 5. It's Cardinals 3, Detroit 2.
Well, let's take a look at our What's on Tap, brought to you by Bud Light. The difference is drinkability. Cardinals and the Tigers will wrap up this series tomorrow night here on Fox Sports Midwest. We'll come your way at 6:30, and after that we head out on the road to Kansas City, and then we'll be in New York. The Champions Club. And now we give Al a little break from Ricky Horton, and I'll step in and take the abuse.
Now Al is going to meander.
Yes, he is.
What abuse?
I was all set to stay back there. You were doing such a great job.
Well, thank you. I'm glad we were impressing you a little bit.
And I gave you my scorecard.
I did. Can you read it?
No. You're going to have to help me out.
I will. Todd Wellemeyer is pitching for the Cardinals.
Thank you. I got that.
All right.
Let's see. Cardinals lead it 3-2.
There you go. We're just glad you're back, Dan. I'm just happy that you found your way back here after enjoying the Champions Club and all of the fun of being in there with the Cardinals fans.
It was great.
I'm sure you were telling many a story.
Not really. A lot of pictures.
There you go.
A lot of pictures and just saying hi.
I'm going to mess up Al's scorecard now.
Good. So he can be mad at you, not me. Here's a 2-1 pitch, and that's taken low and away. Cardinals about hit Detroit 6-5. They lead it 3-2 as we play here in the 6th inning. And this is Marcus Thames, and he spells his last name Thames.
Like the river.
There you go. Did you miss me?
I did. You did miss another home run, I hate to report. Curtis Granderson, second home run of the night in the 5th inning, temporarily tied this game 2-2 before the Cardinals picked up a run in the bottom of the 5th. Now you're up to date, man.
And he chases possibly ball 4 and a strikeout. All right, Ricky, get your thinking cap on. Let's take a look at the Aflac trivia question. Which Cardinal had the most hits back in the 1968 World Series? 68 World Series.
I'm going to guess Lou Brock.
13 hits and 28 at-bats.
I'm not sure I've gotten one of those trivia questions right in a while, so I'm kind of happy about that.
There you go.
It's a good guess, though, Lou Brock. It's always a good guess with Cardinal trivia.
It's either Gibson, Brock, Albert, Ozzie, or Pagnozzi.
Or Geronimo Pena.
Who could forget Geronimo Pena? 1-1 pitch. Taken low and away by Ordonez. You always see Yachty. He's got such a keen eye on his pitchers and takes it personally when they don't pitch well. But you'll see him point to the front shoulder if he sees it flying open. You know, Dave Duncan has to appreciate that. The 2-1 pitch.
He appreciates it and he teaches it, Dan. I think if a catcher is not being empathetic at all towards what's going on the mound, he's not really helping out his pitcher. You've got to understand that this is every time there's a base hit, you gave it up as a catcher. If you don't get to that point, you're never going to be able to help your pitcher as much as he needs you to.
That's a fair ball and a base hit. It bounced, it looked like, off the plate, and all kinds of spin on it. It was like you would deaden the ball. Yeah, you know, and you'd spin it on the green.
That little 52, that little lob wedge right there.
It's a great promotion. The Cardinals will do 2 of these. Cardinals Care jerseys off our backstay. Saturday, June 27th. All fans who make a $1 donation to Cardinals Care receive a scratch-off ticket, and every ticket is a winner The grand prize is a game-worn jersey signed for you on the field by a current Cardinals player.
We'll have to ask about that backspin. Mike Tucker from Belle Reve Country Club is here at the Champions Club tonight, so we'll have to ask him about that little spinning ball in front of Wellemeyer, which unfortunately is going to end his evening.
So 91 pitches tonight. That'll be it for Todd. And Mott is coming in. Our Chevy called to the bullpen. Jason Mott, the hard-throwing right-hander, coming in. And it's a 3-2 game here in the 6th.
Throughout our community, unique individuals give back in so many ways to charities, and we want to present 3 of them to you. Julianne Nahar, Sarah Ponzu, and Melissa Landwehr are local finalists in People Magazine's All-Stars Among Us. Through June 24th, you can vote for one of those 3 by going to foxsports.com and click on the link for All-Stars Among Us. The winner from each major league city will be honored, Dan, before the All-Star game on July 14th, seen only on Fox.
So here is Jason Mott. Those 3, by the way, will be in attendance tomorrow, we understand. That pitch at 97 from Mott, 1 ball, 1 strike. So after the base hit by Ordonez, infield single, Tony La Russa, Ricky wasting no time. Pitch count just over 90, and he goes right to the bullpen. A little surprise there?
No, what I like about this, I'm not, because I think Todd Wellemeyer needs something positive to build on for his psyche, and I think right now you're looking at a situation where he cannot be the losing pitcher in this game, giving up a couple of runs. If Mott can close it out, he's had not a great start, but a good start to build on.
Blew it right by him. 98 on that pitch from Mott. That's what he can do. He can come in and just blow it right by you. And back to the All-Stars and people that have done special things in the community.
Well, Julianne making care packages for U.S. soldiers. Of course, we know how important that is. And Sarah Ponzu speaking out against drunk driving, and Melissa Landwehr creating a prom. It was really her idea to create a prom for special needs teens. And so they all do great work in their areas where their heart is, where their passion is. And we know that our community is filled with people like that. And it's great that baseball is celebrating some of the work of the fans, because this is in many ways still the fans' game. It is the fans' game. Major League Baseball would not exist without the fans that participate, the fans that are up here at the Champions Club, the fans that support their Cardinals and favorite Major League team each and every year.
Laird pops it foul. That was 99 on the gun. Speaking of which, made me think of Albert Pujols. I talked to Albert at length about the upcoming home run derby. I said, do you have a favorite home run that you have hit over the years? I said, was it Lidge or maybe your 300th against the Cubs? He said, you know, those were okay. Those were nice. So don't get me wrong, they stick out in my memory. He said, but the home runs on the Buddy Walk Day, he said those have been my favorite over the years. Of course, Albert has a Down syndrome child. And what the job here by Mott, as he just blew it right by Laird. And
I like the move even more, Dan.
Yeah, with 2 strikeouts, and it's 3-2 St. Louis.
Jason Mott finishes off the Tigers in the 6th inning with a high, hard one, blowing away the hitter. And as he comes off the mound, Mott wants to make sure that he pays homage to the first base line and then the other side of the running lane, Dan. And I'm not sure I've ever seen him do that. He just kind of stops and maybe genuflects a little bit there and just kind of moves on.
Well, you also saw him talking into his glove and his hat at various points in time. Yeah, he comes out of the bullpen. He will talk to his hat. Now, you may be wondering, what is he saying? Well,
what is he saying?
I've asked him, I said, what are you saying? He said, I'm not really sure what I'm saying. He said, but you know what he's doing?
I know people like that.
He said he's smelling his cap. He said, I've always liked to smell my cap. I said, you realize that's kind of gross, especially in the hot summer months. He said, yes, I do, but I always wanted to smell my cap. So when you're watching Jason Mott coming out of the bullpen, he takes the cap off, puts it to his face. He's talking and smelling.
Well, we've talked about this team being a little unpredictable and quirky, but now we've got a shortstop that licks his uniform and a reliever that smells his hat.
Oh, they throw that one into the seats. Ill-advised there by Brandon Inge, as it was off the pitcher, and Inge let it fly.
I'll say. Now he's smiling about it because he can't believe he threw one that bad. Off balance, does a little pirouette, and he watches the result of that throw, which is basically a souvenir.
Now you come to the ballpark in those seats, you have to be heads up because you're thinking that's a line drive off a right-handed bat. Instead, it's a line drive from Brandon Inge.
You used to be careful with those seats if you were at an LA Dodger game and Steve Sachs was playing second base. Fans used to put a little target up there because he'd throw so many up into the seats, like Steve, throw one to me. I mean, they would do that on the road and at home.
So here is Thurston. He'll try to pull the ball here. You know, Gary Bennett started to get that with the Cardinals. He struggled to throw the ball back to the pitcher. Bunt is down, play at third, and Molina is out. Runs into an out, and Brandon Inge is off the hook. Molina was picked off last night. One of those cases there where you just asked Thurston to bunt it a little bit harder, but also with Molina, as a defense, you can play this very aggressively with him running because you can keep that shortstop or second baseman close to the bag at second, and it might give you a step or two to field that ball and make a play at third because of his running speed.
And I think you have to bunt that ball to third anyway. Don't you have to make the third baseman field it to have him come in to give third base open? If you're trying to move a runner to second base, you might bunt to the first baseman because he's going to have to get a slower jump off the bag because he's holding you on. But with a runner trying to get him from second to third, not every time, but more often than not, you're going to try to make that third baseman field it.
Here comes Jim Leland. Mott also told me that he went to pitching because of a curveball. Not because he could throw one, because he couldn't hit one.
Right.
He was a former catcher.
A lot of guys like that.
Oh, man. So one out and a runner at first.
I'm looking forward to this Mott at bat. I want to see whether they throw him that curveball or not. I'm sure the conversation was somewhat what you said, that remember this guy used to be a catcher, and maybe they said Dan McLaughlin said he couldn't hit the curveball. So,
well, no, Jason Mott said that to me.
Oh,
and
right.
I'm just repeating.
Well, I mean, you're the messenger, of course.
Right. Now, Mott was a catcher in college. He went to Iona, and he was telling me he's always had a terrific arm. And even when the draft was coming around, the scouts were looking at him because he was good defensively, had a plus arm, and scouts would say to Jason and his coach, you know, we'd like to see this guy on the mound. And he made it clear. He said, look, I'm going to the minor leagues as a catcher, and I want to be able to try that position. And then he knew it was over once he started seeing professional curveballs.
I think it's because he had to smell his hat from catching, which I think would be a worse thing than smelling it as a reliever, and that's why he gave it up.
Imagine if Steve Klein had that habit.
He had a few of his own, frankly, that
don't need to be repeated.
That don't need to be repeated. That's right.
He was always fun.
Oh, love Steve Klein.
Here's the 0-1. Runner goes, and it's lined foul. A little late with that swing. Now, if Mott gets a base hit, you were a reliever. What happens the next day when he goes out to stretch with his teammates, or even after the game?
Well, it depends. Now, what he will do and what I would do would be different things. I mean, if you got, he's a real humble guy, and he's not a guy that.
And you're not?
No. No.
You'd let everybody know
Dan,
about it.
You've known me a long time, Dan. You know better than that. I mean, not in that setting, not in the bullpen setting. There's very little humility, but I think Jason Mott's that kind of guy. You talk about how big a hit was that you got and how right on it you were and how you hit 950 in high school, and that's part of what the relievers talk about.
Every piece tells a story at Cardinals Authentics, the only place to find game used, limited editions, and autographed memorabilia and collectibles. Visit CardinalsAuthentics.com anytime to find your story.
One of the other things you find out in the bullpen is that everybody out there played quarterback in high school, was all state.
Best athlete.
They never talk about having a 4.0. That wouldn't happen very often. But they would talk about being the star basket, the point guard, and they shot 80% from the free throw. I mean, all they would do is talk about how great a high school athlete they were. I sold hot dogs for the Honor Society at the football games in high school. And
come on.
And that's a true story.
Come on.
Yeah, it's true. I did. I did not play
You're
football
so
in high
humble.
school. No, I was just not a football
Come
player.
on.
I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you.
0-2 here on Tyler Green.
But I can't shoot.
I've heard about your basketball game. It's very solid.
Okay. Some more folks enjoying the Champions Club. A lot of space in there, Dan. A lot of space to spread out, have fun, socialize, watch the game. Nice and cool in there.
You want to go take my job again? I'm ready to head back in.
Are you ready?
It's getting a little hot out here. Throw down to second and out. They got him. So they get Thurston. We head to the 7th. One-run game. Infinity game recap back at Busch Stadium. Tony La Russa named earlier today to the All-Star team. Swatting away the flies, and that was swatted out of the ballpark, and Granderson has done it twice. Colby nearly with a home run. And we have ourselves a 3-2 game. The Cardinals and Tigers here in game 2 of this 3-game series. Folks from the Westin are here tonight. They had their promotional night. And there they are. And here's Mott as he struck out the final 2 that he saw.
I noticed that with the pop-up challenge. There were some sky-high pop-ups that those folks are trying to catch.
And the good folks at the Westin right across from Busch Stadium put that night on. And this will be it as Tony La Russa looks like he'll go to his bullpen, allowing time to get his reliever warm. So Mott hits, goes out to pitch, and here comes Denny's Reyes, but the call has not been officially made. Denny's thinks it has, and now it has officially.
You can open the door now.
It's a trick door out there. We've seen that more times than you can believe this season. Baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by AT&T. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. And by the double cheeseburger extra value meal, now just $2.99 at McDonald's. 1982 in that World Series, won over the Brewers. Bruce Sutter and Darryl Porter, the late Darryl Porter.
Still in college. Cardinal minor league player. I was finishing up college, rooting for these guys I did not know, but hoped to meet someday, and felt like I was a Cardinal already. Denny's Reyes is a Cardinal now after years in the American League, and he's had, I guess, some really good moments and some rough moments, but been pretty tough on left-handed.
It's bunted way too hard to Albert Pujols, and a slide towards first, but an out.
And a late call there.
It sure was.
Albert had to work hard there, didn't he?
But in the time I was speaking with Pujols before the game, Ricky, I'm telling you what, he is beaming about the opportunity to have the All-Star game here in St. Louis, and I know fans are curious about that. He was more excited to talk about that and to do it here in St. Louis. He said, you know, obviously I'm going to have so many family and friends coming in from Kansas City. He said, can you help me out with tickets, jokingly?
Yes.
I'm sure Albert can get some tickets. That's not going to be a problem. And he also talked about he wants to see Molina in the All-Star game. And he said that he has told Yadier that there's nothing like it. Midway through a season, and you're voted in or brought onto a team, and you have a chance to represent your team and your league in the All-Star game, and to do it in your home city is just a remarkable feeling. So, you know, Albert will be there. Big question right now, will Yadier Molina?
Well, Cardinal fans certainly hoping for the same thing, that he'll get that opportunity. And you think about the All-Star game, Dan, and it wasn't that long ago that there were some players in baseball that would get elected to go to the All-Star game and say, I'm not sure I really want to go. And it almost became, I just don't get that. I don't get that either. I wonder what that transformation has been all about. Perhaps it's the leadership of Bud Selig making the game matter to the degree that he
But even if
has.
it didn't,
it still doesn't.
As you mentioned earlier, It's a fans game.
Right.
And if the fans voted you on, or if you have had a great first half and you know, you're part of that team, if you don't want to be there, who cares? But you owe it to the fans to show up.
Guys were coming up with phony injuries and kind of, well, I need the rest. And, of course, the great statement, I think Templeton made it. I may be wrong about that. If I ain't starting, I ain't departing.
Right.
That, you know, kind of became the symbol of players who had that feeling. And they would say that they wanted days off. And, you know, and I understand how tired you get sometimes. But
deep left field
is the fans' game.
Duncan back with room. I mean, and you think about it, Ricky, it's a short-lived life. You know, your professional career, as you well know. What a great honor to be selected to an all-star game. It's something you look back on, and, well, from a player's perspective, one of the great achievements in your career.
It is a fans' game. On another level, the game will always be the players' game, because these players began playing this game because they loved it, not because they wanted to play in the major leagues. Maybe it was a dream, but they loved the game, the essence of the game. And it's something you just love to do in the backyard, in the streets, and in your friend's yard, wherever it might be. And now you get a chance to do it on the great stage. And from the player's point of view, forget the fans for a second. From the player's point of view, when they're sitting in their rocking chair and they look in the mirror or have somebody ask them about an all-star game and they say, I didn't feel like going to an all-star game back in 1987. I mean, how can you justify that? I mean, it's such a small window of opportunity that they get to play, Dan, and you just want the best for these guys that love the game so much.
Granderson 3 for 3, on base 4 times, a single, 2 home runs. And he represents the tying run. They're having some fun here in the Champions Club as the night grows on.
I think I heard him say, this one's for you, Dan. Were you hanging out with those folks?
No, I wasn't.
Sure about that?
No, was not.
We were speculating.
I'm sure you were. I wouldn't blame you either. Pitching change. La Russa out. Reyes out. And here comes Kyle McClellan. Kyle McClellan in, and this will be his 28th appearance for the St. Louis Cardinals this season. Has a record of 2-2, ERA of 3.30, and opponents still hitting under 200 against him.
One thing I'd like to see out of Kyle, and I really appreciate the job he's done out of the Cardinal bullpen, is that he wouldn't walk as many guys as he has. That's not a terrible part of his game, and you mentioned the on-base or the batting average really low against Kyle, but I just think his stuff is so good. I don't want to see him pitching around very many guys at all. I think I'd like to see him just go right at guys, and the walk's a bit high.
Take a look at his motion, Ricky, and analyze it, as he's one of those guys that kind of really drops it down long and then tries to get over the top with it.
It's almost like he's got a few parts to his delivery, a little almost like a herky-jerky in a sense, and he almost seems stiff to me. Now, it works for him, and he's got the ability to create good sink on the ball. He's got a good cutter. He's got a good breaking ball. He's really got everything that you need to be a reliever in the big leagues. And so his mechanics just seem to work for him, but they're not what you might. I wouldn't call them smooth. I really wouldn't, because I think there's a couple of parts to it that sometimes throw people off, but normally not Kyle.
1-0 the count on Polanco with 2 outs and a runner at first. I'm sure you and Al talked about it, because as we had a chance to visit with Placido, you get a classy guy and you get a very good major league player. Very serviceable, can play a number of positions, hits second in the lineup.
But we did talk about him, and I really hated to see him go. At one point, the Cardinals had to really make a decision as to whether or not to get rid of Placido Polanco or Fernando Vina. And at that time, Vina was the better player and had great hands at second base, and the Cardinal fans, of course, loved him. And Polanco was a little more unproven. But in some might say the Cardinals got rid of the wrong guy.
3-1. And let's probably give the Phillies scouting staff a little credit too, because they could read the writing on the wall with Vina, saying, all right, you got a guy tail end of his career, contract wise, what do we want to pay him? Remember, Vina's still got a pretty big payday from Detroit. Polanco is younger, and gives us a little bit more versatility. Pitch is popped up. Thurston is over. He's got it. Time to stretch. Good job by Cal McClellan. Fell behind 3-0. Comes back to get Polanco. 3-2 midway through 7. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. That's a program, World Series 1946.
I wonder how much that cost.
Big money. 25 cents. That's more than I thought it might be.
I was thinking
5-10 cents.
5-10 cents too.
That's what I was thinking. This guy is a hard thrower. Joel Zumaya. Can he stay injury free? That pitch at 99, you watch his motion, it's free and easy. And this is Tyler Green, the first hitter. 19th appearance and a record of 3-1. Opponents hitting .250 against him. That's probably a little higher than we expected.
Zumaya had the injury. You talk about being injury free. Didn't he have that playing Guitar Hero? Isn't that what he was playing, some video game, and he ended up hurting his finger? And talk about staying injury free. That's not one of the ones you think about. You think about shoulder, elbow. You don't think about.
And he also did have a sore shoulder. He was shut down for that as well. But yeah, the finger was a Guitar Hero.
I thought so. I thought I recall that.
Santiago is taken over at shortstop.
It could be a mixed memory with some other story, Dan. You know, when you get older, that happens.
I remember Zambrano had an issue because he always spent time on his computer, and he had a hand issue. Zumaya strikes out Tyler Green, and it brings in Skip Schumacher. By the way, one of the folks that I met here in the Champions Club wanted to pass this along. Tina Maddox is watching the ball game tonight, and her sister is here, and they had a preemie baby, a twin that was 5 months old that passed away on Monday. And I want to just send our thoughts and prayers. Addie Stickle and Mom Tina is watching here tonight. Want to know is the count. Schumacher 1 for 3.
You know, we've already had a fun fact.
I can't wait.
And I just have this premonition that another one is on its way.
Can't wait.
I have a strong feeling.
That pitch hit 100 on our gun.
That was not the temperature, was it?
That would be how hard this guy is throwing. He can bring it. When you watch him, it just looks effortless. Or am I wrong? I mean, to me, it just looks free and easy.
No, it's very free and easy, which, you know, you talk about trying to stay away from injury. A guy who's got a free and easy motion like that, you don't think would get injured very much. He uses the bottom half of his body, legs, driving towards the plate. That's only going to help take off some of the pressure on your elbow and shoulder.
Ricky, take over.
Oh, I knew we had one. Oh, there it is, Dan. Our second baseball fun fact. Harry Truman once threw out 2, not 1, but 2 ceremonial first pitches. He threw one left-handed, one right, and that was the way to show off that he was ambidextrous. That is a baseball fun fact. Are you kidding me?
Here is Colby Rasmus.
But he was maybe trying to get the votes of the left-handed people and the right-handed people. I thought maybe there was
a reach.
Little pandering going on there.
That's a reach.
Oh, well.
But you're thinking.
Yeah, thanks.
You are thinking. You're reaching.
You weren't there, were you?
You're trying to make it happen, to slide in the fun fact to make it work. I like it.
It's still fun.
It's a matter of choice.
All trivia is kind of fun to me because I kind of like.
Well, that's not trivia. That's a fun fact. There's a big difference.
Okay.
One's less annoying than the other.
Fair enough. Baseball people like fun facts. We're having fun in the Champions Club, aren't we? We're not actually in the Champions Club, are we? We are outside it.
We're definitely not, because you are sweating through your FSN Midwest official jersey.
But I do have a sweatband on.
you never thought going to the booth that your sweatband would come in play.
I've been
It
using
really
it
has
a
helped.
lot. Oh, yeah.
2-1 here on Colby Rasmus. Short lead at first by Schumacher. And that's taken low. 3 balls, 1 strike. Rasmus with his triple and single has his average up to 267, 7 home runs, and he's driven in 26. Al was saying earlier in his mind, Colby's got to play every day. Agreed?
I agree. Until he proves he shouldn't be. You know, it's interesting about Colby, and Al and I kind of agree on this. I know you do too. In the way we talk about him as a player, we talk about what he's not doing correctly, but it's not to run down Colby Rasmus. He's a rookie, and you expect that he's not going to be perfect getting to the big leagues as a rookie. He's at this point the best rookie in the National League. I'm glad we have him, but we're trying to point out the next level for him because he's got the ability to get to that next level. There's a lot of players in the big leagues that are topped out. He's not one of them.
Rasmus turns on the pitch into right field for a base hit. I like what Dave McKay had to say the other day. He said, now, are there times when we talk to him about his outfield defense to get the balls and get him back in quicker? Yes. He said, but what gets mistaken at times is that when it looks like he's gliding to a ball,
right?
He said that's really not the case. He said he's got the same thing that Edmonds had, which is great speed at times. Well, let me rephrase that. Rasmus with great speed, Jimmy great jumps, and at times it looked like they were gliding to the ball. And
Jimmy didn't have great speed, but he's a great athlete.
Exactly.
And so he had that look as if he wasn't moving.
Exactly.
I think there was a little bit of that in J.D. Drew, a little bit.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of that in Andy Van Slyke, the way he played the game. They're so athletic that they make it look as if they're not working hard, because for somebody else it is hard work to go from into the gaps. I think when Rick Ankiel gets a great jump on the ball, it's very effortless for him, particularly in center field. And I think about, you know, some of the great athletes are like that. It just looks easy to them.
And that's what I mean. It's effortless. It's smooth. This is power against power right here. This is a fun matchup. 1-0 pitch to Pujols. Pops it up. And it is playable. Foul territory. Inge has got it for the second out. You would figure if you just square one up against this guy, he generates the power for you.
Albert could have hit this pitch 500 feet if he got it right on the barrel of the bat, but it's in on him, so he can't get the barrel on it. But you talk about a 99-mile-an-hour fastball generating some of the power and Albert generating the rest. Who knows how far he could hit that ball.
Exactly. Here's Duncan.
How about his home run last night, Dan? That was great to see.
And it was also good to see that he was getting base hits against a lefty.
Right.
Cardinals have to have that happen with, you know, Schumacher, Ankiel, Rasmus, all hitting from the left side.
Well, this is a big run to pick up here. If you're thinking about 2 more innings of zeros that the Cardinals have to post, if you can pick up an insurance run here in the 7th inning, it'd mean a lot. And that pitch by Zumaya to Pujols, very big pitch in this game from the Tigers' point of view. And now facing Chris Duncan, he has a chance to close out this inning, and Duncan can turn it around with 1 pitch.
1 ball, 1 strike on Chris. We're in the 7th, 3-2 St. Louis. 2 outs and 2 on. And with the weather heating up here today, it seems like there are more bugs flying around on the field. We saw Tony La Russa swatting at him. The home plate umpire just did that. You can see in our shots when we were able to go close up on the players.
I think we took them from Cleveland. You didn't see as many of them as Cleveland as probably we saw in the weekend games, Dan. But a lot of bugs there, and I think the Cardinals might have packed a few in their suitcase. Well, good thing we don't have the seagulls here.
Look at all those bugs.
Amazing. Well, that's going to bother a hitter. It could bother a pitcher.
And a lot of times it's picked up with something, a product that they'll put into the grass that will attract the bugs and the flies.
Are you an entomologist or something?
I've just talked to Bill Finley. I've done some homework here. Okay,
Impressed.
Rick? All right.
I'm not doubting you. I'm just asking.
And that's a ball 4 to Duncan. That was 101 on the gun. 101 from Zumaya. Huge at bat here for Ludwig. Bases loaded and 2 outs. Been a tough night for Ryan Ludwig. He could atone though with 1 swing of the bat. Out to visit, making sure he's all right. Next telecast, we're on the air tomorrow. Joel Pinheiro getting that start for St. Louis, and we'll come your way at 6:30. Should remind folks that the Sunday game, normally on Channel 5 and KSDK, is a Fox Sports Midwest game this Sunday. Fox Saturday game of the week, and Friday night in Kansas City. We'll have it on Fox Sports Midwest as well. 2 outs, bases loaded. First pitch to Ludwig.
Boy, wouldn't it be something if he could get a hold of one of these 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. Ludwig is a good fastball hitter normally, but since he's come back, Dan, it seems as if he's been a bit late, especially early on. First few at-bats, his timing was a little bit late.
So would this be a bad matchup for him here?
Under normal circumstances, no. But right now it is, and especially if Zumaya gets the ball up in the zone. Ludwig more of a low ball hitter. If Zumaya throws 100-mile-an-hour belt high, it's going to be tough to catch up to, as it was there.
Yeah, 101, check swing, hit out of play. Now he finds himself in the hole, no balls and 2 strikes.
Ludwig's one of those rare low ball hitters from the right side. You just think of a left-handed hitter more typically likes the ball down, but Ludwig handles that low pitch very well.
Oh, and 2. Would you even fool around with anything here, or do you come with the heat?
Heat.
Off speed pitch. If you're throwing 101 and he's got a little movement with it too, it'd be tough to go away from that pitch.
Well, you don't want to throw it for a strike, that's for sure. That's 83. You're almost doing him a favor. And again, being a good below ball hitter means you're pretty good at hitting the breaking ball too, because you're looking down. I think he was just wasting that.
Here's a 1-2. Check swing. Did he go? No, he's got a life. Boy, that was close. 2-2.
I think that call is one of the toughest calls in the game, is the check swing. I think it's evolved to mean different things to different people, umpires. Does his hands go too far? Does the bat head go through the zone? I'd say yes. And I'm glad they asked Chris Guccione and not me.
2-2.
I might have lied, though.
Didn't chase. 101 on the gun.
So you fool around with the slider.
Exactly.
And yeah, the last one was pretty nasty. It was second pitch, but it's ball 2. Ludwig doesn't go. Fastball high. Now, fans in this at bat.
Ludwig hits it out of play. 101 again on the gun.
If he had an outstanding changeup that he threw right now at about 88, Ryan Ludwig would be twisted in such a knot they'd have to carry him off of the stretcher. I mean, he's geared up for 101 right now. If Zumaya, I'm not saying he should throw it, but that was what was so good about Gagne in his heyday. He had that outstanding changeup, but I guarantee you Ludwig's looking fastball here.
But again, you got him 0-2. You got a guy that has struck out 3 times. If I'm throwing 101, like you said, put it up in the zone. But it's 101, 3-2. Ludwig takes ball 4. 100 miles an hour, misses down and in. The check swing, called a ball. Ludwig had a new life, and the Cardinals have a 2-run lead.
Well, that's a huge run for the Cardinals here in the 7th inning as Ludwig drives in a run with a bases-loaded walk. Here's a pitch-by-pitch. Starts him out with a breaking ball, 81 miles an hour. Then he goes with the heat. 101. Then he throws the slider again after he had him 0-2. Misses again. Count goes to 2-2. Misses way up. Ludwig fouls one off. 101. And then Zumaya misses low for the RBI for Ludwig.
Now this is a matchup when you watch Yadier Molina, and he's swatting away the flies, where Molina a lot of times won't overswing. He knows he's throwing 100 miles an hour. He'll just guide the ball in the right, realizing Zumaya is the one producing the power here.
Yadier Molina has a very high baseball IQ. Not all good players have a good baseball IQ, but he's got one.
See right there, that's that pitch a lot of times he'll just guide it into right.
Just trying to put the bat head on the ball, and he doesn't care. He knows that Zumaya will supply enough power, and he's just really trying to get a base hit here.
Well, here we go again. Does he even fool around with a slider? He's got Molina now at 0-2. Molina does not strike out very often. Bases loaded, 4-2 St. Louis. The 0-2 pitch. Hit it to right, but right at the first baseman, Cabrera. Bases loaded walk for Ludwig, picks up the RBI after 7. The world champions of 06, the Cardinals lead at 4-2. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light Lime, the drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. By Bank of America, Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. And by Hyundai, discover why only Hyundai can say sales event. Visit your St. Louis area Hyundai dealers today. Rick Horton, Al Raboski, I'm Dan McLaughlin. And we are coming to you from the Champions Club as the Cardinals have themselves a 4-2 lead thanks to the bases loaded walk. Welcome back, Al.
Thank you.
How was it?
I had a great time meeting all the fans out there, signing a few autographs. Didn't get to kiss any babies, though.
No babies,
no,
huh?
No babies.
Getting late in the night. Two 2-0 on the slugger Cabrera. On the inside corner, 2-1. Huge at bat, Ricky, to see that bases loaded walk. Now you have a little bit of a cushion, and it's a 4-2.
Well, that's huge for the Cardinals, no doubt about it. You have to really give some credit to Ryan Ludwig for battling a guy throwing 100 miles an hour. I mean, that's not simple to do with bugs flying in your face, and Zumaya didn't miss by that much. And to have the kind of the vision to see that that pitch was going to be down and in was pretty impressive for Ludwig.
2-2 the count. I want to thank our Fox Sports Midwest crew for their outstanding work in setting this up. Jeff Amos worked very hard, and all the technicians.
Schumacher has taken over in left field, Dan, and Brendan Ryan's in at second, playing a deep second base.
Good to see that Brendan Ryan is back. We weren't sure.
That's right, after last night.
Left the game last night, whether he'd injured his leg or not.
3-2 the count. Cabrera homered here last night. A little late with that swing. Tardy and lines it into the seats. Now, Ricky, you have the post-game show coming up.
I do.
And that's not air-conditioned either.
No, my fun has just begun. And I'm glad that Cal Elder talked me into this sweatband, because it's already dripping. In fact, I may go try to find another one.
Very nice. And that's a base hit. Cabrera rounding first. He'll wind up with a double. So a key non-strike call on Ludwig with the bases loaded, which would have been the third strike in the at-bat. And it comes back to help the Cardinals as he would pick up the bases loaded walk. Cabrera knew he had a double as he rounded first.
He's such a good player, Dan. Such a good young player. Like to have him.
A lot of teams would.
Yeah.
Would you like to pay him?
No.
You got one superstar in pools. You got to worry about that one first.
That's the problem. It's always the problem, Al, isn't it?
Well, I was just talking to a fan, and he said, "Oh, we could trade Boggs for Beltran." I said, "Okay."
Wade Boggs or?
No, I think it was Mitchell.
All right.
And I said, you know how much he's making?
He's talking Carlos Beltran.
Yeah, and I said he's making a little more than Pujols is making. But that, you know, everybody's very good at spending Mr. DeWitt's money.
Well, that's the fun of it, though.
OPM.
Always talking about.
And here's the #1 culprit.
I'm willing to spend everybody's money. I'll get Beltran and A-Rod when he's up. Why not get him and Pujols?
And also, some young man said, why do I let Dan McLaughlin do the ladies?
Wait, where are you going with this?
No. It was basketball. His work. It was his assignment. But.
We actually have some folks from the Missouri Valley Conference.
Yeah, but it was you did the Missouri Valley Ladies
Championships
Conference, and all of a sudden I didn't realize it was my decision to let you do it or not.
Well, you've had such a say and really helped me along over the years. It's backhanded by Pujols. McClellan steps on the bat. All those years, Al. If I could have had you as my agent, my goodness.
Amazing you're still on the air.
My goodness.
You know, Dan, you mentioned that non-call against Ludwig, and we're going to go back to that a couple of more times, I think, before this night is over, because that really was a key to that run the Cardinals scored in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Well, I'm sitting here with two pitchers, and you guys know this game very well. What are you seeing right now with Ordonez? Why is he only hitting, you know, roughly 275? Because, as we mentioned before, a career almost 320 hitter. He's a very good player. What are you seeing with him in the first couple of nights? And I guess we'll move on.
I'm thinking I haven't seen really anything different in him. He just doesn't really seem to have any power at bats, Dan. I mean, it's hard to imagine a swing like that coming up with a home run, although it does end up as an RBI.
Picks up the RBI, cuts the lead to 4-3. Here in the 8th inning with now 2 outs as Cabrera scores the 3rd run for Detroit.
And like you said, he hit 317 last year, 382 in his career against the Cardinals, and just drops a bat head down and in, gets a little fly ball, and all you need is one approximately 300 feet, and that'll score most people from third. It's a good thing we did get that. And you know, I was entertaining the fans and with the fans, so I didn't really see how close the 2-2 pitch was to Ludwig, and then the 3-2 pitch looked awful close also.
The 3-2 is probably a ball, but the one that we're talking about that was probably one that the umpires will review later on and think they probably missed it is he probably swung at the pitch in the dirt, and I think that was the 1-2 pitch.
Not to make excuses, but it is so easy to see that slow down on a check swing, you know, and
well, it's a hard call.
It's very difficult. That's a base hit in the left. Schumacher comes up firing quickly back into second base and holds him to a single. Luxury for Tony La Russa, fellas, is that Skip Schumacher can go from second base to the outfield, and he possesses a gun out there in left field.
Strong throwing arm, and so he can stop this from being what in many cases would be a sure double and stop that runner at first base.
He did other things really well with that, Al, the way he circled it and got his body moving towards second base and actually charged the ball hard, and not a lot of outfielders, Al, have we seen do that lately. We watched the Cleveland Indians play for a couple of days, and they were like they were outfielders playing in a beer softball league. I mean, they had no sense of going to the ball, of charging balls. I mean, it's just sloppy defensive play.
I think just a compliment to the Cardinal minor league coaches to make people understand that there is 2 aspects to the game. A lot of people only concentrate on the offense, but you can be a complete player playing defense too.
Laird is 0 for 3, has 2 home runs on the year. Here it comes again. If you missed it, the Ludwig check swing.
I did.
You'll see it now, Al.
Oh yeah. And from that replay, it almost always looks like you go around. And it's a very tough call for the umpires, and I'm sure they asked for help on that one, but you know, Ludwig got away with one, and it proved to be what is now the difference of the game, the bases loaded walk.
See everybody being annoyed at this point by the bugs. They're really, I would almost say, distracted by them.
Why don't we bring the seagulls here?
Right. The Seagulls in Cleveland for fans
and I'm a fan of fireworks, so I get doubled my pleasure.
The fans that might have missed the game in Cleveland, actually before the Cardinals got there, a game-winning hit was actually affected by a ball that hit a Seagull in short, shallow center field.
That was against Kansas City. Thurston is over and makes the catch. 1-run lead for St. Louis. Four to 3. There's the flat screens TVs, and there's over 40 flat screen TVs at the Champions Club here at the ballpark. Take a look at our Hardee's Prime Cut. Yadier Molina earlier tonight with our Hardee's Prime Cut of the game.
Home run back in the second inning, I would assume, right here. Later on had a solid single. Bobby C coming on here, 27th appearance. He's got 1 loss. He's 12 holds, 4.50 ERA. Bobby C was one of those high bonus babies, as they had a clause that nobody really ever put into effect, but you had to establish contact with these guys within a 2-week period or something like that. The drafting club failed to do so, and there were 3 players, I think, 3 or 4. They all went to the expansion teams and got like $10 million each. Bobby C was some of the high schools. You know, Matt White was one.
Nick Stavanoa is on deck. And that is a ground ball hit to short. I wish Ricky would quiet down back there.
Oh, he's leading the cheers pretty heavy, isn't he? So Tony's going to go to the bench and pull out Stavanoa, who's been pretty effective coming off the bench. Late inning heroics. Of those 13 RBIs, not a lot of plate appearances, and 4 game winners. Marty Mason, the Cardinals' excellent bullpen coach down there.
So Stavanoa with 1 out and nobody on. 4-3 St. Louis. And the first pitch taken inside at 93. Zamaya, boy, he could bring it. He was hitting consistently triple digits. 3 or 4 times he hit 101 on the gun. 1-0 pitch to Stavanoa. Popped up. Foul territory, playable. Now it's in fair territory, and Polanco makes the catch. Quickly, 2 outs. I want to thank Ricky Hort for helping us out here tonight. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, really has been fun, and meeting some of the Cardinal fans. And a couple with their son that live in North Carolina, and they've been to 5 different ballparks the last 5 games, on their way back home tomorrow. How come Ricky doesn't talk that loud when he's on the air? Back there cheerleading behind us now.
Well, he's getting the fans going. That's great to see him do
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And this has popped up, so this should send us to the 9th inning. 4-3. Cardinals on top. Franklin coming in. Todd Wellemeyer, 5 1/3, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, couple of walks, 5 strikeouts here tonight. Our U.S. Cellular Cardinals live recap, and don't forget, post-game show is coming up. U.S. Cellular Cardinals live. Take a look at Yadier Molina, Todd Wellemeyer, and of course you'll hear from Tony La Russa. All coming up on the post-game show, and now it's Ryan Franklin, and this will be his 25th appearance of the year.
See the 15 saves, the 16 opportunities. Just the problem has been lately, not many save opportunities. And opponents are batting 189 against him. So there's Khalil Green, who worked out today with the club. And Keel and Wainwright. Oh, hopefully Khalil is getting closer to rejoining the ball club.
So here we go, ninth inning. Don Kelly will lead it off. Remember, he was in that leadoff spot in their lineup last night. Tonight, Curtis Granderson, and that move paid off for Jim Leland. Granderson on base 4 times.
Kelly, just recall last Friday from AAA, where he put up very impressive numbers.
One ball, one strike. Two strikes. Franklin has been very good in this spot. Doesn't look over his shoulder. He knows that he is the guy here in 2009.
Well, he's 2 saves away from his total of a year ago, but I was kind of filling in for Jason Isringhausen, who, by the way, is out for the year now.
Tommy John surgery if he elects to have it. 1-2 pitch. Really, Al, I don't know if you saw the replay of that game, but Isringhausen threw a pitch and went to the backstop and looked nasty. You know, he knew right away that he was hurt. He called out the training staff, and Joe Madden came out right away. So now they're missing Isringhausen and Percival.
Right. And they started thinking they were getting healthy.
1-2 pitch. Backhanded by Albert. Flips to Franklin for the first out. That all-important first out.
It really is, Dan. When you get that first out, you know, you can give up a base hit and a walk or some combination and keep them from scoring just by retiring the first batter. Allow that first batter to get on, then things really, you know, kind of snowball on you.
One out, and Ramon Santiago is the hitter. Santiago with 4 home runs this year. And that pitch is a strike.
One thing about Franklin, he has a variety of pitches and usually excellent control.
Two outs. Let's turn to tonight's Budweiser Player of the Game. Budweiser, the great American lager. And we'll go with the Cardinal catcher again, Yadier Molina. 3 for 4 and a home run back in the 2nd inning. Albert was telling me, when you talk about Yadier Molina, it gets overlooked so much, the job that he does with his pitching staff. We talk about it, but we take for granted just how good he is with the staff.
And that's a very demanding position for Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan. They put so much emphasis on their catcher and so much responsibility. And you cannot just show up at the ballpark and be a catcher for Tony's teams.
Granderson with 2 home runs tonight. Cardinals 2 strikes away. 1 strike away.
Stop Granderson, you win the ball game.
One and 2 is the count.
See if it's not the splitter.
He got him, and the Cardinals win it. 4-3 the final tonight. 4-8-0 for St. Louis, 3-9-2 for Detroit. 3 home runs were hit tonight. That means $48,000 has been raised in our game for prostate cancer research. To make a donation, you can call 800-798-CURE or go online to prostatecancerfoundation.org. Plenty more to come here on Fox Sports Midwest. Nice win for the Cardinals. They've taken the first 2, 4-3 our final. Inside the Champions Club, a final look there. 4-3 our final here tonight. 4-8-0 for St. Louis, 3-9-2 for Detroit. Dan and Al back with you, and obviously a very solid win for the Cardinals. We had a lot of fun tonight.
We had a lot of fun. I kind of seemed like I missed part of the game, but
well, you're not the only one.
The Cardinals did. And that was the key point. You know, Wellamar started this ball game. He got in a little bit of a jam, but boy, he escaped it. After the home run to Granderson, he stranded the bases loaded and got that big force out at second base and kept his ball club right in it. And it was a good team win. As Ryan Franklin will tell you later on, that, you know, this is a very good Detroit ball club. They're in first place for a reason.
And with the bases loaded, the Cardinals capitalized with their opportunity. Bases loaded, Ludwig check swing, called a ball, and all of a sudden bases loaded walk. That's the difference in the game.
And he needed a little positive right there, and so he gets the game-winning RBI.
All right, we really enjoyed this here tonight. Folks, if you get the chance, make sure you take advantage of it. The Champions Club here in St. Louis. Our thanks to Rick Horton for helping on out, and our entire crew here on Fox Sports Midwest. We'll be back in the booth tomorrow night, but this was a lot of fun. Of course, you can get your tickets at stlcardinals.com. Tigers and Cardinals, 6:30 on Fox Sports Midwest tomorrow night. And the Cardinals look for a sweep. Post-game show coming up.